Welcome to our Friday edition of Military Trailblazer Office Hours. This is our open Q&A session. So our goal, if my PowerPoint will cooperate, there we go. Our goal for this is just to have a live forum for transitioning military veterans, military spouses, and allies. So that basically means anybody to come here and ask questions while they're on their Salesforce learning journey. Our goal is to help you with whether you're stuck on a trailhead module, an issue at work, just a general technical question that's Salesforce related, anything is fair game. The only thing that is not fair game is Salesforce super badges, because those are meant to be done on your own. But if you just have a general question, something maybe related to the super badge, but not just asking for help on the badge itself, that's perfectly fine. All right. And I will also note that for anybody here that's new, some of the questions we get, they range anywhere from super easy all the way to, hardcore development related topics. And we try to answer all the questions that come up, right? But if a question comes up and it's a little bit above your head based on where you're at in your current journey, that's okay. We definitely want you to be here. If you have a question or you want us to clarify something or go into more detail, by all means, raise your hand and we'll see if we can help. And with that said, I do want to point out that after our call today, if you do want to stay connected with the community, we have a couple different ways of doing that. We have our, you can sign up for email reminders for all the Military Trailblazer sessions on mtofficehours.com. You can follow us on our LinkedIn page as well as our LinkedIn group. And then we also have a Slack workspace that you can join. And, we post notes there, we post the recordings and things, and you can stay connected with folks that are on the call. So with that said, let me stop my share. And if anybody has a question, all I ask you to do is just use the raise hand icon that's at the bottom of the Zoom window there. So with that being said, let's see if anybody has a question. Sandy, I see you have a hand up. What do you got?
So last week I asked about the, like the refresh screen thing, and
Oh yeah, with the flows, right?
Yeah. So I looked at that that unofficial SF element that's supposed to refresh the screen, and I couldn't get it to work. But while I was playing with it, I ended up having just kind of my own idea, and because it was telling you to use it as a decision element after if it gets selected, and then run the action, but it didn't seem to actually do anything. So I'm like, well, if I'm already running a decision element, why don't I just, and they want to refresh it, why don't I just send them back to the beginning of the flow so it grabs all the new records again? So I made use of or unofficial SF's button element and was able to create a button that I put at the top of the table that says refresh table, and I was able to add that little refresh symbol to it. So it looks really cool now, and it works without having to use an additional thing. I lost your sound.
No, yes.
Here you are.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I think my dog saw a squirrel and just exploded. So I tried to use the mute. And then for whatever reason, this headset, when I put it on mute, it adds like 3 layers of mute that I have to unmute them. In any case, so basically the solution was to basically give them the ability to refresh on the flow manually. So it's still kind of semi-automatic. It's not like a just refreshes automatically and knows that something has happened.
Yeah, so the way that when I downloaded the package, it creates it as an action element on the flow. And so I don't know if I just didn't put it together correctly, that it wasn't executing it right. But essentially what I did was I ended up just kind of scrapping the action. And so basically it was like, if they select it, you use that decision element to have it go to the action and then do something after that. So I'm like, well, if I'm already kind of having them go to a decision element that if they've selected a refresh, why don't I just go back to the screen that literally is refreshing it and grabbing the new, any new records that might have popped up for that table. So it ended up working, and then it looks kind of cool because I did use a different one of their things with those buttons that you can create.
Yeah.
So I used that aspect of it, and it looks really cool because it almost looks like it's supposed to be there. And I put it at the top of the table like all the other refresh buttons are. And so I was kind of excited about that because it looked cool.
Nice. All right. Well, that's good. That's I'm glad you found the solution. Let's see. Anybody have any questions on that or any of the tools issues from unofficial SF or anything else before we move on? Yeah, it's pretty slick. Sandy, if you happen to have the link to that specific component to use for the buttons that you could share, I'd love to take a look at that.
I'll look at it. It was something that we had already downloaded for something else, so, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I'll go look for it because I'm pretty sure I have it up
I
still
think
on.
Flow button bar is in the base pack, and that thing's pretty amazing.
Yep, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Say that again, Ryan.
Flow button bar, it's called, and it's part of the base pack now. If you install your base packs, and it's amazing. You can put like up to 5 buttons on there, I think, and then you can put text for the buttons, and you can do extra explaining. You can put them vertical, horizontal, and you have a lot of control over it. You can make them where you can multi-select, so you can select buttons and it doesn't advance. It just records that your user selected it, or you select a button and it actually will move you to the next screen. So it's really configurable.
Yeah, it's when you're setting it up, it has selection versus navigation.
Is this the one you're talking about here?
That's it.
Okay, so for folks that might be new and not aware, unofficialsf.com has a lot of cool pre-built components and widgets and things that you can install in your Salesforce org to add functionality to things like flows or your page layouts and things like that. And this is the one that we're talking about here, the flow button bar that you can install. And it goes through, it tells you, what's in there and everything else. And then when you get down to the bottom under settings and configuration, it actually will walk you through how to get this, installed and configured within your org. Down here you go, setup and instructions. So, and this is the components base pack that I think Ryan was alluding to as well. So definitely something to take a look at, especially if you have a use case that you can't solve with the native out of the box Salesforce functionality. Before you go, spending a lot of time and headaches building it yourself, take a look at unofficial SF. They might have a component pre-built for you that you can leverage. So
yeah. And one of the other things I liked about it, because I didn't know it did that, was that they do have a bunch of like actual like icons that you can add to the button as well. And they've got a lot. I think it was like something like list of 400.
Yeah, my guess is that the buttons are probably the same buttons that are available through SLDS, the Salesforce Lightning Design System. And if you just pull this up for those that might not be aware either, but if you go to the Lightning Design System icons page, you can see here's the full list of all the different icons that you can use. And this is for like Lightning button components and things like that. So I have to imagine they're using at least some of these as part of those icons.
They're all available.
Yeah, because it's like a list of like 400 plus or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of different options here for when you're building your apps and whatnot. All right, cool. Well, that's a success story. Only took a week to get there, but that's good. All right, let's see. Anybody else have any questions on this before we move on? All right, hearing none. Does anybody else have any questions or topics that they would like to go through for today? Questions, huh? I'm going to call somebody out then. Megan, what did you learn? And you took yourself off mute before I even said your name. That's great. I was going to ask you, what anything exciting from World Tour yesterday?
Actually, I was going to say, do you guys want to see Privacy Center?
If you tell us what Privacy Center is and what it's used for, sure.
Privacy Center is used in Salesforce to be able to like set up something. Like, for example, if you have people that are signing up for something with your company, like their ability to opt out of like being with you guys anymore, because there's certain requirements. It's like, I think you have like 7 days for some, I don't remember it all. I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you have required timelines that you have to meet as a company to get them off of your lists if they request it. So there's different things that can be set up for that. It's also, oh my gosh, what would that be? So here we go. I'm gonna get out my little thing so I don't have to stop the cup. So one of the things you do is data management policies, right to be forgotten policies, preference managers. So you have to build the policies though. So you have to like go in and create these policies and activate them so that they go into effect and so that you are meeting the local like requirements. And I logged into it today, and the other thing's really cool is it actually like has like a link set up that for anything like you have to meet like international regulations.
Is this part of core Salesforce, or is this like part of Pardot or account engagement or whatever it is?
This is Salesforce, but it's off of like, so there's like a bunch of, there's Privacy Center, there's Shield Suite, and then you have, what's the other one? They're all kind of together, but you have to buy them separately, but they're core Salesforce. Or you just have to pay
Okay.
for the licensing.
I was going to say, so yeah, I'm looking in setup right now. I did a quick search for Privacy Center. I see it there, but I don't see like the actual stuff. So there is a license that's related to this.
Yes.
I know we can't quote this and whatever, but any idea what the licenses cost or something like that?
I don't. I should. And so the reason I went to this hands-on was because we have a customer that swears up and down that they have Privacy Center. I've not been able to find it. And I'm going to argue that they don't have it. But the license itself is called, I took a picture while I was there because they were trying to help me figure it out too. So you actually have to have the Privacy Center user permission set license is what goes with it.
Gotcha. This was a hands-on that you saw at the World Tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
because I knocked out my privacy and security AP without touching the system. So I wanted to actually go see it. So everything that I
Nice.
pulled, like all my study guides were built off of me, like just digging through other people who've been putting out videos about it, because you have to do it through the learning camp, and it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go see it. So I did. And then I got another data cloud org while I was there for funsies, because I'm going to test that this week.
Nice.
So.
I might just not have a really good use case for it, but I've been, and this probably isn't the popular thing to say, but I've been a little underwhelmed with the data cloud stuff that I've been working on.
That's because you're not
but
connecting it. It's because you're not connecting it to external connectors like SW3 or AWS or anything like that, and having like data coming in and being able to use Tableau Pulse with Einstein Copilot. I think it's going to be amazing. I just think it's too expensive.
Well, I was going to say, it's like everything else. It looks really cool, looks awesome, but then you look at the pricing.
So, and DC is all Fed stuff, right? So there were like DoD round tables, like there were like full bird colonels walking around. We saw a couple of generals, like they, all the cool kids. But the problem with Data Cloud right now is it's not Fed ramped. So, but everybody I talked to, like random people, like at Salesforce, because Priscilla's at Salesforce now. She's on the GovCloud side. They just did their 10 years. I got some socks. I got some really cool purple socks. But the belief within that group of people right now is that it's going to be Fed ramped within a year.
Yeah, I can imagine they're working pretty hard to get all that done. I know they're pushing really hard to try to get a lot of those government contracts and whatnot.
Yeah,
I will.
And the new AI test should be out in September.
Yeah. Yeah, Einstein for Copilot, all that other the Einstein Copilot and the prompt builders and all that kind of stuff. I still haven't really got a lot of hands-on experience with that. It's definitely something that's on my list though.
So I went to a prompt builder session too. It's the same stuff they've been saying. So it's not like super, like if you've watched any of the videos or if you've done any of the stuff in Trailhead already, then you know all that's out there.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been looking at just today, I've been using Einstein for developers, the extension in VS Code. I don't know if anybody has experience with that.
And I saw it.
And yeah, and I've been running comparisons with that and GitHub Copilot now, just to see which one's better, which one gives you better results and whatnot. And so far with GitHub Copilot, I'm liking it. I think it's got a little bit more functionality than what you get with the Einstein for developers, but yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm not a developer. By the way, Dan was there and so was Lexi. It took me like 5 takes to realize that I was looking at Dan because he is so much taller in person than I thought. There you are, Dan. I saw Lexi and then I saw you, but I'm looking up and I just didn't realize how tall you. So I felt bad. I messaged her. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I feel so bad. And then where's Steve Trumbull? I'm literally talking to him like I'm getting ready to demo for him and didn't even recognize who he was. And I see him like every week.
Nice.
Yeah, and for some reason he's like, I thought you were blonde. I'm like, I did not know how you got that.
I was like, I'm looking directly at him. And it just, Oh, I apologize, everybody. I'm so sorry.
No, no worries. Well, let me do this. I have another question about the world tour, but before we do that, anybody have any other questions or topics that they wanted to go through before I ask somebody else a question here? All right, so Stephen Trumbull, let me ask you, just based on your experience and the stuff that you do, anything compelling from World Tour that you saw that was interesting?
Uh, so there's one presenter, I think her name was Ella Marks, like she works at Salesforce. So I went to a couple of
AI
the,
chick.
yeah. So she did like a prompt builder session, and then she also did a session with Jennifer Lee, who's maybe like more commonly known, and is like setting up your calendar for like tasks which admin should be doing and the frequency which they should be doing those things. Because like for us, and I don't know how many other kind of consultants are out there, but we're like typically much more kind of on like a reactive basis. Like we kind of wait for clients to ask for some things, but there's things they just don't know to ask for. And like, should we be running optimizer? When should we be doing health checks? Like how frequently should we be checking for duplicates and all this? And then so to have kind of they had this structure, like this is an idea of the frequency you should be doing this. Like if you're an in-house admin, so I think it's kind of a good idea that hopefully like Blue Engine as a company and then maybe some other people out there like to have something a little bit more structured, like put out to clients that like this is kind of what's a good idea suggested from Salesforce, like what we think you should be doing. And obviously we can offer the service, but if they like don't know to ask for it, they never ask for it otherwise.
Yeah. So if I had to say that back to you, basically it's a combination of if you're a Salesforce admin, it's something good for you to be doing yourself. But if you're a consulting
Yeah.
company, it might be a good idea to just know these things, have them on the calendar so you can proactively reach out to folks and be like, hey, haven't talked to you in a while, but did you know that this thing exists and you should probably be doing this? If you need help and you're too busy, like we could do it for you. Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing, just drive business.
Yeah. Because like for all like the in-house admins, it's probably like a little bit easier to keep on top of, if it's just one org, like all the release updates and like block off some of your time. Um, Whereas if you're jumping around a whole bunch of different clients or you're doing much more project-based stuff, it's like cool, like you still got to do that project, but then if you're missing all the other important stuff through all the releases, which they don't know, like yeah, you're running into other issues eventually.
Yeah, let me just because we mentioned two things there's a few new faces on the call that I don't think were here last week. So let me just pull up just one thing. Two things we just mentioned there. One is optimizer. So if you're a Salesforce admin, you have your own Salesforce org, you have this optimizer tool that you can come in here and if you just search for optimizer in the quick find and setup, and then you enable this, allow access, and then you click on this open optimizer. It'll actually go through, do a whole bunch of scanning your Salesforce org after you click run optimizer. So it'll run this, it'll take some time, eventually you get an email saying it's done. And then when you come back to this page, it'll tell you like, here's all the things you should look at. Here's how much time we think it'll take you to fix those problems, all that stuff. So if you've never looked at it, it's worth taking a look at just to see if there might be some issues within your Salesforce org. The other one that you just mentioned was release updates. And these are kind of things that, Salesforce might say, this is an issue. We fixed the issue, but we didn't apply the fix like right now. And you can kind of apply it on your own schedule, which it gives you a great opportunity to be able to test, figure out if you have a problem. And then if you do, turn it off, fix the problem, and then you can re-enable it and go on, about your business. And then eventually they have dates like drop dead dates where you have to have it done or it's going to be automatically enabled by a certain date. So again, within setup, you go to your release updates, you can see all the different list of things that are in that list. And they give you the dates, like you have to complete these steps by a certain date. So again, some of these you probably will never care about if it's like, based on functionality that you don't use or, has nothing to do with, if it has something to do with external call outs to an external website, from Flow and you don't do any of that, well, you can just ignore it. It'll auto enable at some point. Or the other approach, you go in here, you just enable the thing and, you know, you're good to go. So again, just two good things that if you've never looked at it, take a look within your Salesforce org and see what's in those items. All right, cool. Well, again, I'll pause real quick. Anybody have any questions on either Optimizer or the release updates before we open it back up to questions? All right. Does anybody have any questions or topics that they want to go through before I call one other person out? All right. Dan, let me ask you. So if you were at the World Tour, anything jump out at you? as interesting or
Well, there's a
newsworthy?
huge AI push. Everybody knows about that. That's big. Um, I I think I'm a sales skeptic in general. So when I see these really cool tools, I always ask questions like, when we saw the data cloud, they also were using MuleSoft and a lot of other things to make it to extend the functionality. So I'm
Yeah.
asking, so he said, we have all these things with MuleSoft. I'm like, okay, so wait, I'm just asking what's additional because I'm starting to think more like a client, like, and a lot of the clients are small with not a lot of money. So, not to be jaded because I think the tools are super cool and I agree with Megan when everything's hooked up and it's all like they're showing all the pieces of information. You're like, wow, that is really powerful. I think that power is definitely best if you're already a Fortune 500 company or something where you've got a lot where you can get all these tools. But for me, it's always the people. Like just I gain the most by just hanging out with people and talking to them about their journey. I met somebody that was brand new to Salesforce, and she was just asking what can be done. And there were three of us, me, Bhavna, and Lexi were all around her, just, oh, these are all the cool things. And she was just asking questions and was really excited. And for me, that's the very best. So that's what I like the
Yeah.
most, I think. I posted about this a little bit. When I first got there, I was just kind of like looking at the room and like seeing all the people and all this stuff. And like, this is a lot. But as I kind of broke it down into smaller pieces and started focusing on the relationships and the individuals, it was way better for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah, my strategy for these events, I actually meant to go to the DC World Tour. I had to cancel my trip, unfortunately. I'm planning on doing the New York one, and of course, most years I try to go to Dreamforce as well. But once you attend one of them, I think you start to hear the same topics and the same messaging, from all the other ones. So you can, for the most part, like you're not going to get any new tech stuff, but the networking piece, that's usually what I focus on as well. So much so that I definitely lean towards the introverted side. So when I attended Dreamforce last year, actually before the event, I actually typed up like a very detailed scavenger hunt of all the things I wanted to do and the types of people I wanted to talk to. And if anything, it's just like it was like a conversation starter, icebreaker type thing. Like, oh, I don't know. I'll share it with you guys someday just to show you what I had on the scavenger hunt. But yeah, the networking and talking to people, I think that's where you get the most value
yeah.
from these events.
Well, and I'm finding that I'm better at talking to 5 people for a half hour than I am at talking to 200 people for a minute, or whatever. It's hard for me to like, because I want to know who you are and tell me about your journey and what's all that. So,
Yeah.
but no, it was good. Megan was there as well. I enjoyed hanging out with her. Both Megans actually are on the
Both
on board
Megans
here.
were there. You're
that's right.
representing.
Yeah. But anyway, no, it was good. I'm really glad I went. Seeing Iris is always like, Iris is just one of those people. It's like, coming home every time you see her. She's just great. She does so much for so many people on this call. Even I'm seeing people that know her and have benefited from her personally. So she's awesome.
This is Iris from Hiring Our Heroes, Iris?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I do a shameless plug real quick? So
course.
she's kind of looking to get into the actual Salesforce ecosystem, and her network is insane, and she's crazy good at learning all of this stuff, and she's been getting her certs on the down low. So if anybody has anything that she could come on with, just saying. We can't, unfortunately, because she doesn't have the experience for our LCATs. But I was trying to get them to hire her just to be like another recruiter, and we had just hired a new recruiter.
Something to keep in mind. And hopefully she'll join this call if she's looking to, expand her knowledge and networking and all that good stuff. She really is, honestly, every time I've ever interacted with her, like I did the for one of the Hiring Our Heroes cohorts a couple weeks ago. I think you're right. I just always come away with the thought that she really is just a pleasure to talk to. So
she is,
yeah.
and she really, really cares. And that's just great quality. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Yeah. Cool. Steven, you have a hand up? What do you got?
Yeah, 2 things. So one of them, just wanted to mention like the dreaming events as an alternative to the world tours and Dreamforce and things, because they're going to be much more like learning focused, where you just go to sessions and like they are all just, groups typically of, 10 to 20 people, like in a little classroom. And so if you're wanting to like actually get technical skills, Like I'd much, yeah, I'd really recommend you could do a dreaming event rather than a world tour event, because you can learn like a heap more there, and then like it's a little bit easier in the smaller groups. And maybe be like 200 attendees in total. So you kind of, you just need to make 3-4 friends, and then you keep bumping into each other over like the 1 or 2 days, which is kind of nice. And the other thing, I had a question: if there's like any for the Salesforce military eligibility, for like military spouses, does your partner have to be active, or if they're a veteran, are you eligible? If anyone knows
Yeah,
that.
so they just updated it because just the amount of applicants was so overwhelming. And now they've also switched, I think you saw, to the rolling monthly. So instead of it being every quarter, so now they're focusing on active duty service members that are transitioning and going into like skill bridge, and then spouses of active duty military service members.
Is that for hiring our heroes or just Salesforce
That is
military?
for hiring our heroes. So it's, I'll try to find it somewhere. I know that Salesforce itself, they did like a pilot military veteran fellowship. There's actually, I know one of the people who got into that. So they're doing that as well. And
Okay.
then those are the only two I can think of, like right off the top of
Well,
my head.
Oh, so
I thought
Ryan, you think it's fine? Like just as long as your spouse anytime was in the military, you're eligible.
Yeah, triad military in general, the just logging into that community and then doing
Yeah.
those modules and getting the cert vouchers, that should be fine.
Oh yeah, that's for anybody. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
thought you were
don't-
talking about the fellowship.
Yeah, so
I know, because because I met this girl. She just got an associate, and then so her like wife is discharged like a year or two ago. And then I was like trying to tell her, like, she's already paid for her admin exam. I was like, don't pay for another one. Like, I think you're eligible, but I just wasn't.
Yes.
no, they will be. We used to have
Yeah.
people show up to like ourselves for Saturdays, and then you get to talking and find out that they're either a spouse or
Yeah.
a veteran who, 8 years
Perfect.
ago, and it's like, let me show you something, and
Yeah.
never had any problem getting them in. So,
Cool. I'll send her a little message. Thank you.
sure.
all right. Let's see. Any follow-up questions there before we move on? All right. Anybody have any other questions or topics that they wanted to go through before I call another person out here? All right. Let's see. Megan, let me ask you, since you were at the World Tour as well, anything that you saw that you wanted to call out? Anything interesting?
Which Megan?
The other Megan, yes, who just came off mute. There you go.
Two Megans. Pretty much the same thing everyone else said. This was like my first Salesforce event. So that was really cool. I probably would have been lost if it hadn't been. I came with Iris. So once again, having her and then like meeting all the people on these calls and stuff in person for the first time was really cool, and just kind of getting more of their insight because I just started officially my role this week. So
Oh, nice. What kind of role?
I'm technically like a developer. My title is associate engineer, but I have no background in computer science. So it's a big learning curve.
Yeah, well, no, that's cool. I mean, everybody has to start from somewhere. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think the world tours, like I said, networking, that usually is the best thing I get out of it. I don't think I've ever, in the last like 4 different events that I've attended, I don't think I've sat in a single session. It's usually just walking around talking to people. And I think Megan Cut, you had mentioned about seeing full bird colonels and generals and things like that there. I have to just mention it. My only story where I met somebody cool in person. It was like 3 weeks after I got back from a deployment, Iraq deployment, and I went to Dreamforce for the first time, and I got to meet Colin Powell in the bathroom before his keynote at Dreamforce. So it was pretty cool.
Did you get a bathroom selfie with
No,
him though?
that's always my story. I'm like, I had like a couple options. Like I could ask him to shake his hand as he's standing in the urinal next to me. I was like, nah, that's probably a bad idea. Or I could like try to take a picture with him with like the stalls in the back. I'm like, nah, that's probably not a good idea too. So I was just like, hey sir, how you doing? And that's it. Yeah, I didn't get a picture with him, unfortunately, in the bathroom of Dreamforce. So
I'm speaking of, so you are going to New York? Is anybody else going to New York? Like in a couple weeks?
yeah, I think it's
I
like the
didn't,
20-something.
it's like the 25th. I didn't get to sit on like any, like I was rushing because I couldn't, because I was demoing. I didn't get to go to like any of the hands-on things that I want. Like I literally like, they were just nice enough to give me the demo orgs because I couldn't sit in for the whole sessions. So I kind of want to go to New York just to do that.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if anybody else is going. So I'm taking taking a PTO day and taking the train up there.
Yeah, I'm planning it as of right now. I'm planning on going. Then again, I plan on going the other one too. So we'll see. All right.
Well,
Yeah.
I was
Go
just
ahead, Hannah.
saying, hey, I'm planning on going to New York. So
Nice.
I actually have a meeting for that in about an hour internally.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll have to try to be a little bit better prepared for this one. We'll have to put something in the Slack workspace to see who's all going to be there, just to hopefully at least meet up, say hello, get pictures, print out profile pics so we can tell who each other is when we arrive there. So, all right, let's see. Any other questions or topics that anybody wants to go through for today? It's a light week with technical questions. I guess we had a non-stress week with going through stuff.
We
Yeah.
have a smaller turnout, I think, than we have had the last few too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll try one. I was a client wanted to convert a lead, and she didn't notice that the lead that she was trying to convert was already a contact. But that contact had an updated phone, and there were some other things. And I thought that when you converted a lead into an existing contact, it would carry over some of the new stuff. It actually didn't. So this occurred to me, and that maybe I'd want a list of all the converted leads to compare if this has happened in the past. And so I tried to form a list view with is converted. First, you have to give yourself an additional permission to see converted leads in the list of leads. There's a view converted leads, something like that. I forget what it's called. But there was no way, without looking at recently viewed, there was no way to filter just the leads that were converted, or at least I couldn't figure out how to do that. And
A list view and not a report.
I was doing a list view. Yeah, maybe I could have done a report. That
I'm
might
just
have
saying
been.
if you do that, and then that way you can export it and you can keep track of it, or you can save it and then refresh it and see.
Yeah, the problem was when I selected, and maybe we'll need to demo this, I don't know, but when I tried to select the is converted as a filtering condition, it just didn't show anything. It was almost as if once a lead was converted, it wasn't considered a lead anymore.
Converted leads are visible.
Yeah, you can see them with that permission, but only in the recently viewed list.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
let's
a weird sort of complicated thing, and it's annoying.
All right, let's see here without me spilling my coffee on the floor. All right.
Don't converted leads have a contact opportunity and an account field to store what records were created?
I'm not sure, but I don't know if those fields are exposable from fields to view in a list view on the lead.
I also thought that when you converted a lead, if it finds a match, that you can select, it'll do a side by side and it lets you select what you want to keep and not keep.
That I would have loved to see. I didn't see that, but I hope you're right, because that's what I would like to do. That's what I would have liked the client to be able to do in this case. But I think that she just converted it to an existing lead, which really meant the only thing that she could select was lead source, like carry over new lead source or something like that.
All right, let's give this a whirl here. So you're telling me that if I go to leads, and I don't like this thing, creature habit. There we go.
Did you save? I think you might have not saved the assignment through user.
No, I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll double check that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. So if I do test mic tester with a phone number 444-555, something like that. And
Converted leads don't show up in regular list views.
all right, so here's our lead. And if I go back to, let's get out of this thing here. Let's go to sales. Let's go to our leads. And right now, okay, so we have our lead here and our recently viewed. Now, before I do anything, before I actually convert this thing, let's go to get rid of all this stuff here. Let's create a new list view. I'm just going to call this my test leads. I don't know, right? Only I can, let's say all users can see this. All right, so we have all these here, and I'm just going to add in here, if we go to edit list filters, I'm already there. Okay, so this is going to be all leads, and I'll add a filter for last name equals Mick Tester, just so we can have that guy on here. All right, so there we go. So there's our test lead that we just created. So now, in theory, if I go here and I convert this, to answer the question that was there just a few minutes ago. So when you do convert a lead, you can convert it into, at a minimum, an account and a contact, and then you have the option to create an opportunity as well. So in this case, I'm not going to create the opportunity, but let's convert it into a new account and a new contact record. And for those that might not be familiar, the contact, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. It's got the first name, last name, and then the lead company is what it looks for in the account name. So that's what it has there. So I'm going to click convert. And it says it's been converted. And of course, I can click on that account link and it takes me to the account. Now, the question is, when we go back here and I look at my, where is it? My test leads. Right now, nothing shows up here. So that converted lead doesn't show up here. So the question is, how do we get to a list of converted leads so that we can take a look at them, or check data on them or something like that? So I don't think that you can do it from here. And just to try something, I just want to see if I say converted equals true. I mean, it doesn't like magically let me see them here, right? No, it does not. If we go to, and I think maybe this was Megan that made the suggestion.
Well, before you
about,
leave, Bill, can you do
Yeah.
recent? Can you look at recents
Sure.
and see it? Because they should show. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You can see lead status can close converted, and I guess we can add fields from setup. But yeah, so this is it is showing up here. And if I click on this, it lets you in there, and of course you can see the details. Close converted. We can see his phone numbers, all that stuff. But if you want to see a list of these, I guess that would be the next piece. So if I go in here and we did a report for leads, and let's do all leads, create a date, we'll say all time, and let's add again, last name equals Mick Tester. And I wish this was on by default. I think it's actually kind of annoying.
Me too.
It is in my new orgs.
All right, so lead status, close converted. So it does show up on the report. And then I think another comment somebody had here, I think there are some other fields here. Oh, I guess you can't see them here. So it's thought that you'd be able to get to the links for the converted records as well.
I think you're in the wrong report type, Bill.
Okay, what's the report type we should look at?
It was leads with converted. Or yeah, what was it?
Okay, let's take a look. So new report, if we go to all, we just type in lead. Okay,
Converted
leads with
lead.
converted lead information. All right, there we go. Then we'll do the same thing here, filter all leads. One AI feature that I would love for them to have in the future is, okay, Einstein, I just switched report types. Can you just copy all the filters that I had on the other one here, please? Just so I don't have to redo them all. That would be convenient. Equals Mick Tester. All right, and then if we look at our fields here, let's just take a look here. Okay, so we can get to the opportunity, we can get to contacts, we can get to, assuming accounts would be in here.
If you filter by is converted or converted, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
will it show only? Because that was one of the issues I was having with the list view, is that it wouldn't do it. And that it does on the report though. Nice. Okay.
And Bill,
Yeah,
your
I just
account
looked up-
field is going to be under contact account. There you go.
Let's see. So if I look under contact information, contact account. Okay. Which I think is kind of interesting because I would have expected to have like the full list of account fields I'd be able to pull on here.
We need to make a custom report for that, or like SQL query.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to hijack or anything, but just to interject, leads is really designed for like B2C. You know, it's really designed for the individual. So if you use leads for B2B sales, one problem that I always run into with this is that there could be other leads, there could be leads open for other people at the same account, and then they remain open. So you convert the one person who said, yeah, we're going to purchase. If you have other contacts or leads associated with that account, they don't get converted and they remain as leads. So that's just, you know, there's probably automation, there's like ways around it, but just to throw that in there,
Yeah.
it really is a person sort of function.
Yeah. Yeah. We deal with that similar issue all the time where we're dealing with maybe 3 people, you know, that want to join our call for a demo. We walk them through the app and then they say, all right, we're ready to move forward. So we convert the lead. But yeah, you have to remember to go back and convert everybody from the company into the new account. All right, so let me just take a quick step back here. So Dan, so basically we can do this on the report, which is nice because in theory you could export this, you can export a contact report, and then through some creative VLOOKUPs you can identify where all the different changes are if there was mismatches between phone numbers and things like that. What I was going to look at was, could you do that on a joined report here where you can pull the lead and their converted contact information? But why do that? Because I guess we could do phone for the lead. Can add that on there, and then in theory, shouldn't I be able to get to the contact phone here as well? Is it not a thing? Okay, so you can just get to like the top level information. Is there a world where you can create custom report types to get to converted lead information with more information from contacts and accounts? Is that a thing anybody's worked with? All right, let's take a look here. So if I do report types, custom report type, and we'll do continue. Let's just see what option we have here. So we have, I'm assuming it's just going to give me lead with no other options. Yep. So we'll do leads.
Did we already check and see what the standard report was using as its objects, like how it was connecting, just to kind of like see what the play was like before we try to do the custom report?
Yeah. So it's got all the lead details, lead address, lead phone numbers, all that stuff. It's got a lot of the opportunity fields that you can
But
get
not
to.
all of them.
I don't know. Well, it looks like most of them. This could be all of them. It's just a brand new Trailhead works. I'm not sure
Okay.
what other fields are there, but on the contact and of course the account side, it's very limited. We can't really get to the detailed account and contact stuff. So that's what I was just curious. If we did leads with converted stuff, I wonder if we could do a lead report with, for example, contacts. Let's put this in other. And the goal is just to be able to see converted lead information right next to the existing contact information, just to see if we can see it side by side for a reason. Let's see. So if leads, we have lead clean info. Okay, so I don't think that there's a way to do it this way. What if we step back here and we just did on the contact side? So if I did contacts, what objects does it give me here? Any lead converted lead stuff? No. Okay. So yeah, I think honestly, if you wanted to see converted lead data sitting next to existing contact data and be able to do a comparison between them, at least on the reporting side, I think you might have to create multiple reports, export it, and then do some creative like VLOOKUPs or something just to do the comparison.
Yeah,
I guess
Tableau Pulse. You could just tell it to do it.
how much money do you have to deposit for that to work?
A lot, and you have to have Data Cloud for it to work.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at one last thing here. Just curious if this would be something that can be done. Let's just say you wanted to run your report for converted leads, and can you do it on a formula field to compare like the converted contact? Can you get to the converted contact information and compare like phone number to phone number? Let's see. So if we go to lead,
I don't know. What about like what Steven said a minute ago though? Could you run a SQL query to like get exactly what you needed?
Yeah, that I'm fairly confident you can do, because as long as you have the converted contact ID, then you can do all kinds of subqueries and everything else to get to the underlying or the related records. Um, but from declarative perspective, I don't know. Contact phone, just to throw it in there. And if we made this text, I just want to see when we get into the formula field editor if it lets us traverse the relationship to get over to the converted contact. I see converted contact ID. That kind of answers the SQL piece. But can you not? It's not a relationship field. It's just the ID. So we can't really.
What if you did it the opposite way? Put on the contact, put what the lead number was.
Yeah, let's
No,
see
I
if we
think
can-
the contact's the parent, I believe.
take a quick search. Lead source. Yeah, I don't think there's like a converted from type thing that you can do from the contact side.
Mhm.
Just there's
Yeah,
something.
in
there.
the developer reference docs I posted, like the converted contact ID is a lookup relationship from lead to contact.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think that's that. And then just to see if you put that into the chat.
Like I didn't have a query per se, but like the developer reference document, I put that in the chat. But like I just did a very brief like select fields all from lead.
Yeah.
But-
Just to again take a step back, just knowing that we have some newer folks on the call. So what we're looking at now, so we're in Salesforce setup, but what you can do is you click on the gear icon, and if you go to this developer console, this brings up, like a tool set that you can use for development, some, kind of more advanced admin type stuff. And one of the things here, if you go to File, Open, and select Objects, I can go to the lead object, and it will, if I double click on this, it'll give you a list of all the different fields. And now I can say like select ID, first name, last name, company, and converted account contact and opportunity ID. And I can even say where I can spell where last name is equal to Mick Tester. And then I can execute this. And now it'll give me those fields, and I can get the IDs. And then, to the point that was just made a few minutes ago, we can actually then create like a subquery to get additional information, from the account and the contact based on these IDs. But I'm curious, those are just
You can do
those,
dot notation, Bill, as well. It's
yeah.
like
So the
put a-
reference fields, so you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
you can go one step further, right? So I can do.
Yeah, I put a basic query in. You can use if you.
Let's take a look. Select where you at? Where is convert equals true? Select ID. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so let's throw this here. D name, converted contact at name, converted contact at ID from lead. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Where is converted equals true? Extra comma. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we can get to those other things there. So to kind of tie this all up, this has been kind of a long winding way of saying, Dan, I think from your perspective, if you wanted to compare converted lead data with contact information, I think the two freest ways to do this, one would be to export the reports and then do comparison either in Google Sheets or Excel. And if you're feeling extra, you want to go overcomplicated, combination with SQL, maybe even Apex, where you're basically querying everything, querying the contacts, and then doing comparisons. Or taking that query that you develop within, just like with the query that Stephen had created. If you create the query that's got all the fields, both from the lead and from the contact, throwing that in something like was it Salesforce Inspector, where you can actually like run the query and export it to a table, then pull that into Excel or Sheets and then do your comparisons and things there. That could be a way to go.
I think I missed it, but when you were doing the actual report, was it showing phone number on both the contact and the lead? No, it wasn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. We have to export like all the leads, all the contacts, and then do some kind of spreadsheet magic to join them and do
Mhm.
comparisons and whatnot.
I do not have magic skills with Excel.
Yeah. Like send me a message, Dan, if you need help with the sockle. But
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
might try
I'm-
to flow that this weekend.
Tell me about that, Ryan. So basically use a flow to do similar work.
Yeah, maybe see if we can, pick the stuff out and build a comparison. If it's going to take more tools than come with standard flow. Like probably have to use the unofficial SF data table because it lets you build an Apex object. So you could put stuff in there from different objects, in
So are
in the
you
same
thinking
table.
about this would be something like a screen flow that you would be looking at a single lead or a single contact and be able to see like a converted lead and be able to see if
I was
there's
thinking of
differences in data?
a group of leads and contacts with their formulas, but a single would be more useful for doing some quick edits, I guess. But
Yeah, because I'm thinking like if it was a question of like, okay, we just converted this contact, and I just really want to real quick see like the converted data. How does it relate to the original lead that it came from, or the original leads? Maybe there's multiple leads that got converted and linked to the same contact. Being able to see all of them and what their phone numbers are and things like that, and then highlight the ones that are different to what's on the contact. That'd be a pretty slick
that
solution.
that Salesforce article I linked it. I mean, it basically says if there was already data, it won't get overwritten by your new, which seems like a crazy design to me. But what do I know? I don't tend to use leads much.
I
You would
would
think you'd
think
want
that
the
the
most
lead would be the
current.
most current. Yeah, exactly. That would be the most
But
current
no.
data would be on the lead.
Its behavior is if it exists, it doesn't overwrite it. If it's blank, it'll populate it.
you keep all your leads up to date all the time, don't you, Bill? It's definitely
No,
got some
we
lead
have
reported from 5 years ago, which everyone's been ignoring.
yeah, we got some stuff in there that's pretty dated. But now that you said that about the screen flow, now I'm thinking like there's nothing that says that your conversion process, assuming you're converting them one at a time, in theory, that entire conversion process could be a screen flow with whatever custom logic that you would like built into it. So you click a custom convert button and actually have screens that ask them the questions like, oh, this phone number, that phone number, or something like that. I could see a
Unless
world
they prevent flows from accessing those fields too, like they did in the formula. So it's still got to dig into it. So it'll
Yeah.
take some work because you know how some things are just not there in a flow that might be there in Apex or in a SOCL, but there's unofficial SF components to use
So there's that
SOCL queries. So
on that convert option, it did give you the option to use an existing record.
Mhm.
If you select that, does it give you the option to pick which fields you want to?
Right, yeah, it's not like the merge contacts where you can pick which one
Should
from
be.
either side. I wish it were, because that'd be really cool if you.
You would think that if you're gonna do that, that they would give you that option.
If Flow can access these fields, I would maybe even might be worth doing some triggered flows that just do it in the background if that's the behavior you would prefer.
I think that Flow can because one of our orgs, they didn't want to use they created a custom object called intakes, and that from the intakes it will then look for everything, like make sure that stuff is in their org, and if it doesn't exist or if it doesn't find a match, then it creates the lead.
Okay.
Yeah, I built that exact thing for someone called intakes, exactly, housing for pre-lead or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, basically if they enter something into their website, it houses it there, then compares stuff, and then creates the lead.
Yeah, that's pretty lame. That doesn't let you select what's the winning data.
Yeah.
that,
The long-term use case for kind of what I'm hoping to see is when somebody comes in from the community, like let's say they're taking a training class, we need to know if they're already a contact or if they are truly a lead, but we can't show them, like they have to provide information and we have to figure out the questions that we're going to ask them. At least I think that's a long-term use case. So, okay, you say, what's your name? No. Okay. And then who are you really? Do you have a nickname? And it gets complicated when people don't go by, when they change their first name or going by their middle name. And we're trying to avoid duplicate data and having to merge a lot of records later on and a lot of them take a lot of training classes. So we want to get that record attached to the right person, and that's complicated.
Yeah.
A tool we use a lot, Dan, it's called duplicate check by Plauti, like Plauti. Yeah. So that has really good lead contact comparisons and duplicate likelihood.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I unfortunately have a hard stop coming up here, so I definitely appreciate everybody's feedback and insights and everything else. And if you have any references for these items that we've talking about, we can throw them in the Slack workspace. That'd be great. And we can always connect on LinkedIn as well. So I appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up next week. Thanks all.